Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Hey, listen, we'd love to welcome back journalist and speaker Farah Nasser. Welcome back. You look glorious, by the way.
Thank you. I'm channeling spring.
Yes, bring it on, girl. Bring it on. Okay, listen, we're going to start off with a big story, everybody. Meta is in pretty hot water after hiding search results for the words like Democrats on Instagram. After Donald Trump's inauguration, it kind of kicked in right afterward. And anyone who tried to use that hashtag or like, I'm going to look up Kamala Harris or hashtag DNC or hashtag the left, they got a message that looked like this. We've hidden these results. The term you searched for may contain sensitive content. It's very even hard to say, but anyway, some people are saying now they're deleting their Instagram and Facebook accounts in response to that. So, Farah, there's a protest happening online. Right. Is deleting your Meta accounts the right answer?
Look, I think it's great if we could do it, right? But how many of you would actually do that? Like, let's be realistic.
Raise your hand.
Right?
Really?
Would you really?
Really?
You're very principled, and I love that for you. But I'm just wondering if it's realistic for people to do it. People have business, they do their business like we saw on TikTok. So I think the better solution to me is to educate people. I already do think, though, that Instagram is the new Twitter. I posted something recently, and it was about Mark Carney, just for liberal leadership. I'm just doing these little news posts every now and then, and I could not believe the vitriol I got on Instagram. Like, Instagram's supposed to be the happy place.
It is. It's still my happy place.
There were 900 comments talking about like all these conspiracy theories and accusing me of being paid by the Liberal Party and people arguing with each other. And I was like,
do you think your post was amplified in a strange way, like to people that might
honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. I think we're already almost there, and I think the solution is education. I don't know
if the solution is education. We're not keeping up quickly enough. I hope for a disruptor in this space. So, and I know people have been talking about Blue Sky because it's the alternative.
Oh, like a whole new app.
I want a whole new app. I want to get rid of both of these apps, but I agree with you, right? Get rid of them. I'm still hopeful that there could be a better social media option that would keep people's mental health intact. I'm not 100% sure that is true. One of the things that I did when I was on leave was I stopped using all forms of social media. And I can't tell you, if you haven't done this as an experiment, go off all social media for 2 months, see how you feel. Because we are all being hijacked.
Amazing.
Wow, it's incredible. It's incredible.
I just started sweating really bad.
It's very powerful. I will say, though, we still need options for things like our favorite cat videos, and also that I constantly am sending to Jess.
Important
also,
stuff.
if I wasn't on social media, I will say I might have missed this, and maybe some of you saw this as well through social media, which was Bishop Marianne Budd. Okay? So she, of course, she's a bishop in Washington, if you aren't familiar with this story, who led a mass in front of Trump and his family and some of his cohorts, and she said this.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives.
So Trump was...
Can I just get this like that? I want a standing ovation. Really? This is what we need to do.
And it's like she said the truth in such a kind way. Just a kind, gentle, pleading, using God as an example of forgiveness. And he is mad, calling her nasty.
Yeah,
so it's true. It's reminding us that he only likes freedom of speech when it aligns with his...
What do you think, Jess?
I think unfollowing, that's the question. Like, should we unfollow? I think it's a nice idea in theory, but how effective would it be when 77 million people voted for Trump? Do you know what I mean? So all the people who didn't vote were unfollowing. More people voted for him. And, there are billions of users around the world. So I just don't know how effective it would be. And then I was thinking maybe it's just persistence, like go for the advertisers, keep talking about it all the time, persistence. But quite frankly, who's got the bandwidth or the attention span for that? Because of the very platform that we're trying to, you know what I mean? It's keep it in the news, keep it in the news. But what's that? Oh, that's a cat. I want to go pet the cat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
we're
want that
scroll,
recipe.
Yeah.
Mel,
you know
listen,
what? Twitter is
Mel
also
had something that you were talking about this morning that adds a whole other dimension to the
Yes,
story.
and
Oh
sorry,
my
you
gosh.
tell it, but I'll just say it happened to me too. So
Did it happen to you too?
Yeah.
This is good. This is for the
probably
argument
on you
of
guys.
this is for the argument of not getting off these platforms and staying on, because what happened to me yesterday was our makeup artist Lucas had said, "Oh, have you seen the stuff that's going on with who you're following? Do you know that you're probably following Trump and Vance on Instagram?" I said, "I'm not following Trump and Vance on Instagram." He goes, "Open up your Instagram." And I looked and I went, how am I am not following, but it says I'm following Trump and Vance. And I panicked and I said, how did this happen? I unfollowed and then I started to look it up online and I said to myself, I was following the former vice president and the former president, but those accounts have been archived and those are separate accounts.
Yeah.
New accounts popped up and they automatically made me follow the new accounts. So that's a problem.
It gets worse.
It gets worse. So I unfollowed saying I will not support them at all and I don't want the algorithm feeding me stuff because of the people I follow. So I unfollowed. All of a sudden last night I said, let me just double check because I'm hearing people saying you're following again. It's possible. I said, well, no, they won't manipulate my account. I opened it and I was following those counts again. Somebody did that. Now,
your eyes
I'm not going
open.
to say conspiracy or coincidence, but I'm going to say conspiracy.
Yeah, guys, but we have to remember, like, who's behind. What are these social media sites for? They're so you stay on, right? Why do you stay on? Because you're angry, because you're divided, because of all this stuff.
You're hungry.
They're making money, and it's leading to the spiraling or the downfall or the eroding of democracy. That's
I think the word for this
here.
is not only media manipulation, I think it's called propaganda.
Yeah, it's the
manipulation.
What did you say this morning?
It's the broligarchy.
Broligarchy.
The broligarchy has arrived in Washington.
It's worse than the oligarchy because they're controlling your thought, right? They're trying to change the algorithm so what you see in this echo chamber is what they want you to see. And that's dangerous. And let's not forget, when we think back about democracy, it can go. Democracy is fragile. Think about what happened in Nazi Germany, right? They controlled the newspapers. They didn't let any opposition papers. It wasn't social media then. It was traditional media. It can happen again. We have to be
I feel
really
like
careful.
we have to just be on guard because it might be happening right now.
Okay, we're gonna.
Sorry.
All right. So this,
Moving on.
After being delayed twice due to the wildfires in LA, the Oscar nominations are finally here today. Okay,
That's nice.
Something else to think about for a moment. Emilia Perez leads with 13, including Best Picture and Best Actress for Carla Sofia Gascon, and she's the first openly trans actor ever nominated.
That's huge.
Wicked racked up 10 nominations, also for Best Picture in the acting category. So was there anything that stood out to you during these nominations?
Oh, two things, two movies, two of the Best Picture nominations I couldn't finish because I felt they were so bad. That bad? Okay, it's okay. I know this is controversial. I'm even questioning myself. But The Substance and Emilia Perez, I turned them both off and then scrubbed the last hour because A, they were both way too long. But in Emilia Perez's case, I was so shocked that I didn't like it and felt like, who am I? What's wrong with me? That I immediately went online, almost like a sports game. You know, when you go and watch the commentary after, I was like, I gotta see what's wrong with me. And sure enough, there were lots of people who felt the same, so that made me feel better. But it's fascinating. This is a rare accomplishment and a weird accomplishment that apparently a lot of people in the trans community didn't like the film. And a lot of people who don't like the trans community also didn't like the film. Do you know what I mean?
United
It was
on
just
something.
and the same with The Substance. I have a feeling that those two movies are both going to go down sort of in Green Book and Crash territory, where years later we're being like, how did
that happen?
How did we get those nominated? Anyway, that's just my hot take.
Interesting. I haven't seen them.
I have to be honest and confess to you, I haven't seen any of these movies. The only movie story. You know what? I like films. I'm not a film buff, and I find there's a lot of indie movies and independent movies, and I find them, to be honest, for me, a little out of reach to watch because I have to go to a special theater or whatever. The ones that are on Netflix, I love if I'm streaming because I feel like that
Any snubs or
democratizes.
surprises for you?
Sorry. I'm get back to that. No, I don't know. I guys, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not adding anything.
There was one, just to echo the last conversation, a surprise for many was Sebastian Stan's nomination for playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice, okay? So you might recognize Sebastian. He played Bucky Barnes in Captain America, Marvel's Captain America. This debuted at the Cannes Film Festival, got a standing ovation. However, not surprisingly, Donald Trump did not like this movie at all. In fact, rumor has it that he really stopped it he encouraged it not to be released.
You can't find it. You can't
legally, right?
Right now.
Sued,
yeah,
I think.
I had a cease and desist and call. He said that I think he called the filmmaker something like scum, if I'm not mistaken. So again, I'll just leave that there for your thought.
That is it. No, that's it. That's it. Yeah. I think put a pin in this. Do not forget this moment that a president is trying to squash bad news about him.
It's very Russia, Alexander Navalny.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
That's right.
All right, this is going to be a controversial one. New York City is making headlines for being the first town in North America to implement a congestion charge. What does that mean? Well, drivers are dinged $9 when they're moving through crowded areas. And according to the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, they've actually seen almost 50,000 fewer cars per day in the downtown. Yeah. So the question is, do we need something like this in our major cities here in Canada?
I think we do. I mean, Toronto is ridiculous. It is
Ridiculous.
got a story, right?
Everybody.
And I will say that for my mental health, the day I decided to stop driving from the east end of the city to downtown, which is literally should be about a 20-minute drive, and sometimes took me up to 2 hours, depending on the weather, my mental health just opened up. I take transit every single day, and I love it. And so I think that if we want better transit system, how are we going to afford it? I think you do have to start charging for people. They have to do it sooner rather than later. It's only going to get worse, guys.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I love that idea, and where transit works, it's great. Unfortunately, it's just not up to snuff. If I could reliably leave my car at home because I've got a great transit option, I would love to never drive again. I think we're made a little differently here. Every city is a little bit different.
Don't you think we only remember the times that transit doesn't work for us, and that the majority of the time it is very effective, but it's not.
Would you say the majority of the time?
It's not even about effectiveness.
Yeah.
It's when you take a look that we essentially have two lines for a massive city. If you take a look at Paris's metro system, or London, or New York,
or
you don't need a car.
Or
Montreal, you don't need a car. If I need to
joke.
get to a part of the city that is not serviced by the subway, I got to carve out 2.5 hours.
But how are we going to get there if we don't start now? Like, we should have started this conversation and this decision making 100 years ago.
A lack of imagination, right? A lack of imagination.
Aren't we taxed enough? Like, honestly, aren't we taxed enough?
We are taxed enough, but this is a way, of course. And listen, I do not want to be unsympathetic to the fact that we are living in like a crisis right now. People can hardly afford to put food on the table. Do they need an extra additional charge? But I will say that actually the cost, again, to go back to like mental health, to go back to the only way. Parking is not cheap in a downtown core, okay? Gas is only getting more and more expensive. So when we talk about cost versus benefit, go.
Do you know where parking is free? At the GO train station.
Not mine.
If you took the GO train.
Not mine.
One.
Yeah, I know. Actually, not mine either. Not mine either.
Not mine.
Yours isn't free.
No, you have to pay.
Most of the congestion is caused from people coming in, not from not from the East End, but mostly from the GTA, at least in Toronto, or cities outside of that. I take the GO train every day, and I feel if money was put in to make it better, faster, and more frequent, that people would
take
come.
it.
And also, to give us 240,000 people use the GO train every day. That's one less car on the road. I feel like I should be given something back, like a tax incentive.
Okay, I have another solution. That's great. I think we're forgetting there are other options on the table for us as commuters. Did you know that 85% of the cars that are commuting in and out of Toronto every day, 85% of them have only one person in them?
Yes.
So that means bring back carpooling. Think about it. Bring back carpooling. If there are 4 of us in one car, you've just taken 3 cars off the road. You've saved money. Mental health. You get to chat. You take turns driving. And number 2, there is another solution, because I don't want to just make problems.
Okay.
The other solution is what Rome has done. The last time I went to Rome, they had a colored license plate system. You could only come into the city when you had a certain color of a license plate. So then you would be forced to carpool. And so I think there is a way to do it without charging people money and still giving options.
The congestion charge which does work all across Asia, all across Europe. It's working.
But it's going to target low-income drivers. Like, that's the problem. Like, to me, I think it's an equity issue here.
Low-income drivers, how?
Because they're the ones who live outside the city because they can't afford to live in the city.
But wouldn't they be
right?
taking transit because it's cheaper?
They can't take transit. It doesn't hit everywhere, Jess. Like, you get the GO train, but it doesn't.
No, but
the GO
there
train
is
doesn't go
transit in
everywhere.
those cities. In Asia, particularly, has some of the best transit in the world.
It does, but
way
here,
better than ours.
But what I'm saying is, here we don't have it in the burbs.
Whenever I go someplace, I put in the transit route. It might mean I'm taking 2 buses, 2 trains, and a subway, but I do it.
Okay, but wait a minute. Okay, but wait a minute.
Time is money.
Yes, it's less time.
Okay.
It's less time, and it's $3.25.
Is it so? Because then you have to transfer to
transfer. Sorry, I'm getting so.
I'll just say one more thing.
I'm so passionate about
I
this.
love this, defending it. I'll just say one more thing that I think employers need to think about is unless your type of work requires you to be at an exact time, we could start being more flexible, because I think what's happening is everyone's trying to go to work at the exact same time and leave. So if you have an opportunity as a leader to flex those hours up, that also would
Can we
help.
make it the same as a school day? Can we make our work day the same as a
that's a
school
whole
day?
other
That's a whole other
conversation. Oh my
conversation,
God.
right?
Oh, open up in a can of worms.
Yeah, sorry. We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Who knew transit fired us off, man? Wow, I love it.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.